record. Okay, guys, I am super excited. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Asia Stone. I am a double diamond with the company. I've been doing this for 5 years. And last week I was sitting down and I was kind of thinking, like, what are some good Zooms? I try to get like other top leaders on Zooms with my team to do, different kinds of trainings. And I said, I really want to do some like pinpointed trainings. So I talked to some of the girls and they were like, yeah, like this is so good. We should definitely do this. And then I brought it to Jade and Jade was like, yes, like blow this up. So we came up with 5 different series that we're going to go through. So if you guys were on Tuesday night on Destination Diamond, then you saw that Jade and Kristen Kirkendall and Hope Weston went over all their tips on what they're doing to enroll distributors. And tonight we have Chyann Nickison and Saray. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name because I'm going to butcher it. Saray A. They're both triple diamonds, and they have super amazing systems for how they get their new DTs launched. So Tuesday night, you guys learned how to, get them in the system, seal the deal. Now we are going to bring you everything you need to get them started and get them running, right from the second they hit submit. So, Chyann, do you want to start and just kind of introduce yourself and then literally just like jump right into like, okay, I just clicked submit. I messaged you and said, hi, like I signed up. Here's my thing. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm so excited to hear Saray's tips and everything, because what I love about this is that we all train people differently, but we all get like the end goal is the same. So I'm just super excited to hear what everyone has to say. But my name's Chyann Nickison. I'm a triple diamond. I am promoting to presidential next month in October. I'm so freaking excited. I am 21. Right? Yeah. I'll be 22 in October. I was like, I don't really know. I'm 21 though. But I joined this business almost 3 years ago, just a broke college student. I just really wanted extra money. And now I've been able to completely transform my life. I just recently bought a dream car. I just moved into my first home with my boyfriend, and I adopted a cat named Keto a long time ago. So that's kind of me. That's like literally my entire life. But basically, what I have been really doing with my new distributors that's been really working with us is the KPI checklist system. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, research it. Just go to YouTube and search KPI. It stands for Key Performance Indicators. It will completely change your business. The documents are in eSuite, all of the things. So all of the information's there for you. It's just kind of figuring out whatever system up that's going to work best for you. So because the system was working so well for me, I was like, why am I not training my new distributors on this? Like, what the heck? So I came up with this system with a couple of my leaders where we're basically walking our new distributors through what we do every single day, which is exactly what everyone else does, and basically as soon as someone clicks submit, yes, this is the KPI list or daily task list. I personally use a different one for my new distributors that I made on Over, but that's the one that I use. It's all the same task. It just looks a little bit different. So it's like less like overwhelming, because I know if I looked at that as a new distributor, I'd be like, girlfriend, what? Like, what are you talking about? So I just made mine 6 tasks, just so it's like a little bit more simple and not as overwhelming, like I said. But the way that I have mine set up, it is each task is an affirmation. So I posted my personal story. So I posted a life post. I posted to my story about the products. I messaged 30 people. I added 25 new people, a minimum on Facebook and Instagram. I got 10 host posts up today, and I did personal development today. And it's kind of one of those things that I just threw in there. I was like, we'll just make it an affirmation. So it's like, I did this. And it's like kind of like, working on the personal development aspect of everything. But as soon as someone clicks, see what you made. This is what mine looks like. I literally made it on Over, you guys. I took the top, like the one that Asia just showed. It's the same thing, and I added my own words. I made my own little boxes on Excel spreadsheets. So that's simple. I'm also really green, so sorry, but that's just what I did because I just wanted to make my own. So with that, the first thing that I tell my new distributors once they join is I just want them to lock arms with me. I'm like, I just got the notification on my end. I'm so excited to welcome you to the team. And then I explain that this business is going to take time. I also explain that before I sign them up, but I'm just like, okay, I want you to work with me. We're going to work hard. I don't want you to quit after a day. Like, I'm very straightforward, but I'm like, just give me a chance, give this business a chance, and let's lock arms for 90 days. And I just kind of lay it out there for them. So we both know that we are both going to commit to each other for 90 days, and then they are going to change their lives, which we all know what this business can do for us in 90 days of consistent work. So that's kind of why I've implemented it like that. And then I have them log into eSuite, do their tax forms. I have them send me a little selfie so I can make a graphic for my story and welcome them to our team pages. Get me added on Facebook and Instagram if we aren't already. I get them into the team pages. I explain how they are going to earn a shopping spree within 30 days and like what that kind of looks like. I have them take the color test because I personally am really, really big on color personalities, just because one, I am green. And if you guys are any sort of familiar with them, greens, like, I don't know why, but like greens love color personalities. I think it's just like a thing. But Asia, did you have
Which color personality test do you use? Because I know people are going to start asking that.
I use the Jacob Adamo one. Here, I can send the link in the chat to you guys real quick. Okay, so that's the one that I use. It's red, yellow, blue, green. I was like, wait, what are the colors? I totally forgot. Yeah, red, yellow, blue, green. I just have them send me their their primary and secondary, because with that you can really get to know someone based off of that and based on just talking to them and like communicating with them more. I always try and figure out their why before they join the business, and from that I explain how we're gonna, or explain the customer program. So like the 90-day challenge, all of that good stuff. I explain follow-ups, and I always do that in the beginning just so they can like kind of understand how this is like a consistency sort of thing. It's just something that we've always done, and it's just worked really well for us. And then from that, I get them on a FaceTime, and this is another part where I really start to connect with them, because like I'm on FaceTime with them. I'll FaceTime them at like 6:00 in the morning. If that's literally the only time they can. Like, I will wake up and FaceTime homegirl if that's the time that she needs me to FaceTime her, you know? Because like I want her to know that I'm gonna be there for her. And I just want to like connect with them. I just get to know them. I don't automatically start talking about the business. I'm like, okay, like, who are you? Like, who is Asia? Who is Saray? And I just really get to know them. And then I start talking about the business. I explain their color personalities to them, because some people are just like, wait, like, what the heck is this? And so I explained that to them. Like, I enrolled a girl who was a green red the other day, and she was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm a Christmas tree. And she's like, this sounds terrible. And I was like, girlfriend, no, like, I'm a green red, and like, we rule the world, so it's fine. But I just kind of explained those color personalities to them so they somewhat understand, like, this is how a green thinks, a yellow, red, blue, etc. Just so they can kind of have like some background knowledge on them. But being a green, I don't want to throw like everything at their face because they're gonna get overwhelmed. So I just kind of take it slow like that. And then I explain to them what we're going to do over the next couple days, couple hours, however long it takes us to finish this portion of the training. But basically all of that beforehand was step one, and this is step two, and it's teaching them how to work the business. I literally walk them through their first post. I walk them through adding to their story, and I just give them some keto coffee slides to post. No, I don't have anything like specific, just like the first triple threat slides that I find. I get them added to our shared story album. Is this all over text? Yes, I text them, or if they're like, I always say in the FaceTime, if you ever need to call me, I'm here for you. And I will have girls that we'll get on Zoom together, and we'll do it from our phones through Zoom on our computers. So like, I just kind of fit it to like whatever's going to work best for them. And like, I can do voice memos, but I tell them beforehand that these are already pre-written messages, and I'm just literally going to be sending them to them. Like, I'm very straightforward. I'm like, no, sister, I did not just type all this out. This was written like 2 months ago, 2 years ago, whatever. And like, I just keep sending it to you. But so I do stories and then I grow their market with them. So I literally screen record myself at that moment, following 30 people on Facebook or Instagram, friending 15 on Facebook, and I just say do 30 of each just so they can kind of see how I do it. I send them a podcast that I think would be really good for them, depending on the stuff that we previously talked about, like who they are, what they like, all of that fun stuff. I introduce Zoom to them. So I'm like, this is Zoom, download it. These are the times we have trainings. I explain why being intentional is important. I introduce them to a co-sponsor, which if you guys aren't familiar with what that is, it's basically just another leader within your organization that they're going to help train them. So I enroll anywhere from 10 to 20 plus distributors a month. I train all of them, but like there comes a point where I'm like, whoa. So I have other leaders on my team that help me with these girls, and I put them in a little group message and I say like Asia only with the two color hearts that their personality colors match. So the other leader knows what they are. And then from that, in that group chat, we go through host to post, and then I explain to them like, okay, this right here is everything we do every single day. This is the checklist. Here you go, welcome. And then I just check in with them from that every day pretty much, because we're always talking, sending screenshots back and forth. But I mean, I know that was kind of like a lot all at once, but that is literally how I walk them through everything. I just physically show them how to do everything. And then at the very end, I'm like, okay, this is the checklist we do every single day. And if you look at it, we just completed this together. So congratulations, we're going to do this every single day. And that's ultimately like all it is for us.
So whenever you so you go through your step one, do you have this stuff like typed up? You typed up and like sent me a screenshot, right? Can you throw it in the chat so people can just like copy and paste it if they want to like throw it in their notes? Cause that was like, I was like trying to write it down while you were talking and I'm like, holy crap, this girl talks faster than I do. Like this girl talks faster.
I just put everything in the chat for you guys.
Okay, awesome, perfect. I'm gonna copy and paste this. But okay, so step one, so how fast are you trying to get through that step one? Like the first day, the first 2 days, like how fast are you trying to get people launched?
Honestly, I mean, however fast they're ready to go. Like I typically, like there's some times where I have, oh my gosh, I can't even speak English. I have girls join and they're like, okay, like I'm actually at work right now. I'm going to text you in the morning. I'm like, okay. And then I am on them at 6 a.m. when my eyes open and I'm like, hey, hello, let's get going. And I literally am just like, let's do this thing. Because obviously the faster that they get through this and we can get to the actual, I always call this, it's in my message. I'm like, this is the paperwork portion of your job. Like the step one, it's like where you go in for your first day and you fill out like the paperwork that's like this big. I explain, I'm like, this is what that is. So just bear with me. And then it's going to get really fun.
I love that. That's such a good way to explain it.
Yeah, because I was like, I mean, like, I know how it is.
Horrible training you do on the first day.
Fill out the employee handbook, and I'm like, ew. Like, I just explained, like, it's boring now, but it's about to get a lot more fun. So.
And then, so I'm just like reading through this and just based off like what we were just talking about. So you go over their shopping spree. And then first post on social. So when you're having them do that first post, is it about a product? Is it introducing themselves to launching the business? Is it looking to get a host to post up? Like what are you having them post about?
So this is actually from I believe it's called Diamond Elite Nation. It's Jade's newest team page where we have the 90-day push, the first 30 days post. I copied that into my team page just because for some reason, like I can't add anyone to that page, but that's fine. It's a whole different story. But I just used the first post from there. So it literally is like, I'm so excited. I just took a huge leap of faith for myself and my family. And the bottom, it even says, if you're looking to make extra income, drop a phone emoji below for more info. I don't ever explain getting distributors that early, but I'm having so many new distributors now get 5 or 6 potential DTs from their friends just for making that post. And like, I'll have people say like, wait, like what are the health and beauty products, where they like commented on their post. So I'm just kind of introducing the whole thing. And then by the time we get through everything else that I had mentioned, the host to post script, is walking them through host to post. So post this on your wall. It's about the giveaway. We message them X, Y, and Z, and then that's the host to post. So that typically is a couple hours or even a couple days. So just in between there, enough time has passed to where I can walk them through host to post. And that's more like majority of the time how people are signing their first 6 customers, just because it's like all out there and like everyone wants to know about what the products are because it's so new to that market.
So like through host to post rather than like messaging friends and family like, hey, do you want to check out my page and buy some products?
Yeah,
You're
like
just
we
like
call
jumping.
that like a dirt list. I love doing that, like, but with the people that I've enrolled, like majority this whole year, it's just not working for us anymore. And like, I don't know if it's just like the wording or something that we're using, but I don't know. But the dirt list just is not my thing anymore for my team.
Host to
So
posting it up.
yeah,
So
we just go straight into host to post.
so what are you having them host to post for HSN, for TFX?
TFX. That is
TFX.
our team's. Yeah, I personally do coffee and then I do it every other week. So coffee or TFX. And then I eventually show them like, hey, you can also do this one too. And then I explain like doing like a giveaway host to post. So I just kind of introduce that as we go. But for those first 6 at least, I'm just doing TFX because I know they're going to get them fast.
Okay, awesome. Love that. I'm trying to think what other questions I have. Saray, do you have any questions for her? I gotta find you. Because I know this was like, oh, I think I found you. There we go. I asked to unmute. Did it work?
Yeah, it did. Hello, everyone. Actually, she already answered my question because I wanted to know about the dirt list. And that's actually the same thing we do. Well, I do. I haven't really been doing a lot of dirt lists either. They do have like a smaller list, but host to post is their first task.
And Cheyenne, can you share that graphic that you made in Over? Can you like just put it in the comments of like the announcement for this Zoom so that, because some people, like I'm not very crafty when it comes to Over, and I'm like, Jade's
No,
like,
totally
when Jade
fine.
was like, go make some, what'd she say? Go make some pictures for like these Zooms, and I'm like, oh my God. Like
Yes,
trying to
I
find a
commented
pre-made
it on the
thing.
one you posted 35 minutes ago. And then I also have like an upline version of it where I would be tracking the new distributors from that. So I'm
Oh,
going to.
perfect. Excellent. Love that. Okay, let me see if I had any other questions. You just like literally just laid it out there. So you're checking in with them every single day, obviously. Can you just like explain for new people like why that's so important? Because I think some people like don't want to hound their new distributors and like overwhelm them, but why is it important to just really be in contact with them every single day?
Honestly, just because it really shows you like how much you really do care about them. Like honestly, like because I remember whenever I joined with Cheyenne Knox and we were talking all of the time. Granted, I did know her before this business, so it wasn't like as awkward. Like I don't know who this girl is, but like I say, like I am going to be your best friend. Like you may hate me, but like I'm about to be your biffle, okay? And like I tell them that and I'm like what's going on in your life, and like I will figure out their kids, and like I'm really really forgetful. I'm just being so honest. So literally in the note section of their phone I put mom Troy age 2, and I literally write down like their life. So randomly if I'm like, oh my gosh, like that new distributor, I'm going to her and I'm like, hey, like how is Troy doing? And I'm like asking her about her kids, because like you don't want to message them and be like, hey girl, did you get that posted up today? Because like no, they didn't. It's okay. But I've been talking to them and just like, hey, like, how was your doctor's appointment? Because I remember like there's a lot of people having babies right now. So I'm like, how did your doctor's appointment go? And she was like, oh my gosh, it went so good. And then I was like, that's so awesome. It was the end of our conversation. And then 30 minutes later, she texted me and she was like, holy crap, I forgot to make that post. I just made it. I didn't have to say anything about her forgetting to make her first post. She reminded herself. I just had to be there. Like, I just literally was her friend and was talking to her about her baby's doctor's appointment. And that's like what reminded her. And it's just like connecting with them, because people want to make sure that like, yes, they join you, but they just want to make sure that you're going to be there for them. Like people like want that community, and that starts with us. Like they aren't going to reach out to you, so we're going to have to reach out to them.
Yeah, so true. That's so good. And I think that's like I think that the whole like friendship thing like is why in the beginning I was as like I went Ruby in my first like month and a half, and it was because like I just locked arms with the people I was working with, and like we talked 24/7, you know, we were just always talking. So that's so good. If I think of another question for you, I'll just unmute you. But Saray, if you want to jump in and tell us who you are and how long you've been in, why you got started, and kind of where you are now, and then jump right in.
Hello, everyone. I am Saray. I started this business 3 years ago when my daughter was only 3 months old. As a part-time, I promoted fairly fast. I'm 28 years old now, and I promoted double in January and triple this past May. I have never been the type to be a massive enroller, but I've always had really good trainings for the little bit of distributors that I do enroll, and they've stuck around. So when I enroll distributors, something that me and Cheyenne have that's very like the same is that we are very personal in our training. So I personally try to build a relationship with them as much as I can. And that is what helps my distributors stick around for a much longer period of time. If not, I've had a lot of distributors that have kind of stayed because of the relationship. So the first things that I do once they hit submit and everything is that I do ask them for a selfie and to send me the reason as to why they joined the business. Even though they've probably already mentioned it to me before, I do tell them to send it to me more in a heartfelt, and I let them know that I'm not going to share it with anybody. But it is something that I want them, if they're okay with it, like I will save it in their contact information of their phone. And then I write just the same thing. I'm also very green, so I love all these little details. I personally save all of that information in the contact information so that when I do share it to their co-sponsor, all of that is in their contact because I'm going to forward this new contact to them. It's going to include a little description of their why, their selfie. I changed their picture to the selfie that they send me. I put their contact information with their color personality as well. So when I'm sharing the contact with my co-sponsor or their co-sponsor, they're going to see what their color personality was. And I'll just show you guys an example real quick. Sorry, we're near a fire department, but so it'll say it in their top part of their message. Like it'll have all of their colors. So it'll be like their primary, which this person is red, blue. It's the circle, literally the circle emojis that are in our iPhones are the colors for their personality. I also put their state because I like to know what time zone they are in because I am very, very, very forgetful. Like I legit have to write everything down because if not, I will forget. So those are a couple little things that I do ahead as well. So I do have them log into eSuite, confirm their tax information. I have them download all of the applications that I feel are important. While they download the applications, I also explain every single one of them. I have them take the same personality test that Cheyenne has. I have them send me their confirmation of enrolling because then I create them a pretty slide of their account number, their website, so that we both have it saved in our conversation. So when I'm helping them with their shopping spree, I have their website and I don't have to track them down and try to get it. I also have them schedule a 10-minute FaceTime or Zoom with me within their first 5 days of the business so that they can put it like my face. I mean, they've seen me on social media, but I want to get to know them a little bit more. And then I also have another document that I send to them personally that I created. And it's because like what I was running into is like the top couple things that that a new distributor will always ask me is their like what their websites are, what products do we sell, and our loyal customer program. So I created a document that has all of that all in one page. And it basically is just like little brief like paragraphs. And the first paragraph is just like telling them like, hey, I'm so excited that you joined. I'm going to give you like a brief outline of things that are really important on understanding like the technicalities of your business. And then this is going to be their homework. So I have them read this information. It's really not a lot. As you can see, I'll show you guys real quick. And it's really not a lot. It's all one page. The welcome is the first one. The second paragraph is just the explanation of the websites, their regular website, and then their eSuite. The following is about the products. So I have a Google document that Jade had that had all of the descriptions of all of the products. And then I also attach our product catalog that's found in eSuite. so that they can see it and see all of the products that we have as well for them to start learning what we have to offer. And then the bottom paragraph is just telling them, like, I encourage them to look at their website, take a look at it, look at the product information, how everything is divided in categories. And then I talk about pricing, the difference between retail customer, loyal customer, the customer program, and then I attach a link to my YouTube video that I did explaining what the loyal customer program is right off the bat. So that way they know everything there is to know about like the actual part of the business and the products, because that's like the number one question that I always get. So once I send them that, that's all within the first day. So I have this 8-step process that I do with the distributor that I just mentioned. And that's all that I do. I send them that picture, and then I tell them that I'm going to do a five-day training with them, going over the 5 core aspects of the business. And then I have them divided in categories between posting, messaging, host to post, organization, and scheduling. And then the 5th one is growing your network and following up, which is what Jade has. Another diamond leader and myself developed this new distributor training. We kind of collaborated, and we did like a little bit of my old distributor training and then her ideas, and then we just matched them up together. So it ended up working out perfectly. We kind of just eliminated a lot of the stuff that was just like extra that we felt like they could learn more about that along the way, because the training doesn't just stop within their first week. It is continuous kind of thing, especially for a new distributor. So we just condensed it to what's important that first week. And then we'll keep reiterating the information throughout the rest of their training. So I usually always will do the first day of the core, even on their first day. So I've done all of those 8 steps, and then I have them posting right away. So usually the posting is a host to post on, if they're working Facebook, they're going to do a host to post on Facebook. And then if they're doing their Instagram, depending on what kind of offer we have, like the ones that enrolled during a special deal for distributors, I have them posting about the opportunity right away so that they can get their team growing. Or if we have like a deal right now, I have them posting about a product deal, and just basically something very generic. It actually doesn't have any of our pictures of our products. So that way it kind of blows up. We have a lot more conversations, and that's going to lead us to the training of like how to message and how to have these conversations with all these potential customers or potential distributors. So like with posting, they do their story, they do a host to post, and with the color personalities, I literally use that to my advantage when I am training them. So if I have like my greens, I like tell them, I'm like, okay, good. Like I'm going to have so many lists for you. Like Cheyenne has the daily task list. I have one of my own too. I actually, another leader shared it with me, and I use hers. And so that's what I use to kind of like keep track. It's also condensed. It doesn't have all of them. It just has some of them. I think it has like 5 or 6. And it also has a host to post tracker attached to it too. So I like cover all of that. And then if they're reds, which I have for some reason have been enrolling so many reds recently, I don't forget about building that relationship with them. And I never want to, when I have someone that is such a goal getter and they just want to like self-train themselves and they're like, I got this kind of thing, I never want to kind of like tell them, okay, like I don't believe that they don't have it. I do believe in them. So I use that to my advantage, since I know they're usually red. I just tell them, okay, so I know you're self-driven, and that is amazing. Like I love that about you, but I still have to go over this information with you, even if you've already read it somewhere, saw a video about it somewhere. Like I need to make sure that I'm covering all my bases, because I tell them that this core 5 training is literally like the fundamental of their house. And then they can design their house however they want. Like they can pick a floor plan later, but I am helping them build the structure of their house. And I need to make sure that I do my job, helping them understand each aspect. And then if they're watching extra videos, that's great. I'm telling them, you're going to build your house so much faster, and you're going to be able to go ahead and just like launch right away and get everything, all your goals, like crush them like immediately. So that's kind of how like I deal with people who say they want to self-teach themselves. I always kind of reel them in. If they leave me on red while I'm doing a training with them, I actually just send them a message. And I actually saw it, like Cheyenne Knox had mentioned about like asking them up front, like, hey, are you getting cold feet kind of thing? Or depending, I kind of read what they're saying in their messages, or I'll ask them how they're doing. I'll say, okay, I'm going to continue with your training today. How does that sound? And stuff like that. just to let them know that I'm still going to be here and I'm still going to continue the training because that's my job. Like, that's what I'm here to do. And they have that understanding from the start. Like, I tell them that I'm here to help them succeed and get their investment back and get their shopping spree and continue. I never assume that someone is kind of like quitting. I just lay it on them. I'm like, okay, we're going to continue. We're going to keep going with our training. And then I have a 10-day check-in message. So around the 10th day of their business journey with me, if we haven't had a Zoom scheduled yet, that I haven't met them face to face, I make that a priority to do that within that 10th day. So I actually had a girl that signed up, and today we did a one-on-one because she didn't do one with me last week. So the message is just like, hey, good morning. Like this morning I sent it to her. I say, good morning, congrats, you have been in the business for almost 10 days now. And then I put like an exciting face. And I say, so I would love to touch base to get some training done, either via Zoom. I can continue to send it out throughout the day so you can also read some on your spare time. Sound good? And she's like, yeah, like I'm available today at this time. And so I hopped on a Zoom and I covered everything that I wasn't able to cover with her in that introduction Zoom with her. So I literally, all of my one-on-one Zooms that I do through FaceTime and Zoom is share my screen. So I'm sharing them, like my website, eSuite, and everything that sheet of paper that I sent them, I reiterate that information so that they can see what I'm even talking about, especially for like my visual learners. And then I show them we use all of our trainings in the Band app. So then I teach them how to use that app to begin with, because it can be a little bit confusing. And then I let them know like that's their clock in. They have to, like, that's their work email kind of thing. Like they have to check in that every single day. And I set those expectations just like any other employer would tell you, hey, you have to check your work email every single day. Like you have to check in with me every single day kind of thing. And that way they kind of have an idea. I show them, you know how like when you have another job, they probably show you the office. Okay, this is where the bathrooms are. This is where you get your coffee. That's what I do with the Band app. This is where you're going to get your story slides. This is our support chat. This is where all of the training is at. If you want to get ahead of the game and learn some extra stuff. And then that's kind of like what I do. I have that mentality of like, this is a business and you have to treat it as such. So I'm going to set the expectations of like, you have to show up. I saw a question, how do we handle someone that works full time and won't fully communicate with me? So that's another thing. I ask them for their schedule and I write it down. And I will message them when they told me that they didn't have anything going on. And then if they don't respond, I'll be like, oh, I think I got my times mixed up. I thought you said you had off. Like, I'm not afraid to tell her that because she told me that she was off. And if it's okay, if she's busy because she probably has other things she has to do during that time frame. But I usually tell them like, I'm sorry, I was reaching out to you because you told me you had off during this time. I had a girl who sent me her 2-week schedule, like from her job. And I literally wrote down, okay, so she works 9 to 6 this day, 8 to 5 this day. Her hours are all over the place. So I'm going to make sure I also am considerate with her. And I'm going to message her during those times that she's off or I know she's out of work. So that's kind of like how I get around that. So I don't know if there was any questions. I think I just like went through.
No,
I
love that you said that you set those expectations, because this is something that I always talk about, and like something that Jade, sorry, I'm like getting distracted by the chat. Something that Jade talks about, with setting expectations for people. Like, I know one of the things Chyann Knox is doing is like, she's telling people that they're going executive in their first 2 weeks, and she's setting those standards for them so that they don't know any. I'm laughing at you. Oh my God. So they don't know any different. So if you're telling your distributors, like, this is what we're doing, this is how we do it, XYZ, like they're gonna raise themselves up to the bar that you set for them if they're serious about their business, if they're serious about like wanting this to work and stuff, Okay, if you're struggling to get distributors in the first place, then go back and watch the recording of the Zoom that we did on Tuesday night. It should be on Jade Hooper's YouTube. I'm sure she probably uploaded it by now. And there's 3 different girls gave their tips on exactly what they're doing to enroll distributors. So I would start there. and just get plugged into any trainings about enrolling distributors. Because so whenever I first started this business, we didn't have stuff like this, and my upline was brand spanking new. So I needed to know how to build a team, and I went to YouTube. I was like, so weird. I was so red when I started, and I'm like super green now, which is like so weird. And you guys are both like, oh, I'm so green. I'm like, oh, it's so weird. I like wouldn't have thought either of you were super green. But YouTube is like going to be your best place to find trainings on stuff. There are so many top earners and top enrollers in this company that have trainings out there for you on YouTube. It's a free resource. So I would really just like look into that. Cheyenne, I unmuted you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple things onto what you were saying too. So whenever you were talking about like making that, sitting in their schedule and stuff, something that I've been doing recently is I'm asking them, like, whenever I'm talking to them, like, what is their life like on that FaceTime? They're like, girl, like, I'm busy. And I'm like, oh no, like, I trust you. Like, I believe you. Like, I started this business working like 3 jobs, 18 credit hours. Like, I was busy too. So I have like a 6 to 11 p.m. hourly picture thing saved in my phone because it's how I work my business. Like, I make my schedule every single day on there, and I give them an example of like how to blend this business into their life. I'm like, okay, you don't have to wake up at 6 if you have work at 11, you know, like whatever. But I just explain like, this is what I do. This is what I would recommend to do for your schedule. And I blend in there, like spending time with family, getting their first and second task done, which for us is posting to their wall and posting to their stories. Like, I show them how to plug the little things in throughout their day so they kind of like get that concept. And another thing with the KPI tracker, with like the upline version of it, we check in with each other once a week. So I'm like, hey, like are you good? Like, are you struggling with anything, etc.? And they're like, I am struggling so hard on like how to blend this into my day. So like, we just go over that more intentionally. I'm like, I want you to do this exact schedule for the next 7 days and tell me it doesn't change your life, and just kind of things like that. And another thing that you guys are talking about with going executive in 14 days, that's what we do too. Like, we accept, oh my gosh, we set that expectation of, you are going to be an executive in 14 days and achieve X, Y, and Z and be Ruby with your first 3 to 4 weeks. And we just kind of walk them along that, because like, that's the success that we want to see from them, is like those quick results, but also making sure that they do understand what we're doing at the same time, because we don't want them to be like utterly confused. Like, yes, ignorance on fire, but we want to make sure you understand what you're doing at the same time. So I just wanted to throw that in there too.
So I have a question for both of you, or just you, Cheyenne, and then I just totally just left my brain because I'm like 8 months pregnant and that happens. Oh yes, okay, got it. So when you are introducing your distributors, your new DTs, to their co-sponsors, I love that you call it a co-sponsor. That's like such a good verbiage for it. I never have heard that used. So you're introducing them, you have them in a chat. How involved are you with their training? And then how involved is like the other upline of theirs? Do you know what I mean? Like, how much are you really taking charge, or are you letting that layered leadership hop in?
Yeah, so what I'm doing personally is, before I like tell the new distributor, hey, I'm about to introduce you to your co-sponsor. And I'm totally going to start doing what Saray does with like sharing their contact and stuff like that, because like, that's genius. I've never thought about doing that. So I'm definitely going to start doing that. But if I've never done this before with a co-sponsor, so like, this is my first time with this co-sponsor, I send her a message, and it's basically just like, I explained to them like what the co-sponsor is. You're gonna help me train her. I just want you guys to like get connected. I have them set up a FaceTime too. Now with the people that I've been working with, I don't have to repeat that part of it as often, because it's typically just the same 1 or 2 people on like a diamond chart. So I'm just like working with them. But I explained to them like, I want you to hop on a FaceTime with her. I want you to get to know her so they can start becoming friends too. And it's not just like oh, who's this random person? And I just kind of let them like connect and I respond. I do turn those chat messages off though. Like on the iPhone, I mute those messages. Obviously, I'm always on my phone. I see them, but I let her take that, like I let her take that lead on it, and I let her help that new distributor, because it also grows her confidence too. And if she needs something, they'll text me and they're like, hey, can you help me respond to this? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I'll hop in real quick, answer the message, and they're both like, thank you so much. But it's also showing that new distributor that she can depend on me, she can depend on her, and like it's all kind of like a community thing. That's personally what we do, and it's just been working really well. But Saray, do you do anything like differently to that?
Yeah. So, fortunately, unfortunately, like all of the distributors that I've recently enrolled have been underneath new leaders. So my co-sponsored handoff is a little bit different because it's a new leader training a new leader. If it was on like my other two legs, like they are very experienced and I know that they're going to be handled like 100%, and I can do that. I can kind of step back and know that they're going to be taken care of. But when it's a new leader, I do give them the advantage of telling them just like that. Like I let them know I placed a new distributor below you. You are responsible for them. I'm going to help you train them too. So I do send them the information because I also have another document that I created that has a new distributor training guide. And it's literally like an outline as to what needs to be accomplished when training a new distributor. So it has everything broken down as far as like step by step, like the steps that I said, the first steps that they're going to need in training a new distributor, and the core 5, what they are, and the expectations once they've covered that specific subject. So that way, when it's a new distributor, they know, okay, so today we're covering posting, and actually I have it up right here, but on posting it says, okay, so I need to cover everything posting, why it's important, the differences between Instagram and Facebook, and make sure to send this video, which is the one that's in Diamond Elite Nation that I created about Instagram and Facebook, the social media training. So they send them that link to the video so that they can see it as well. So that new distributor is going off of this, they're seeing what the expectations are for that, and then they can kind of like use that to their advantage. But same thing as well, I am not like 100% always in the chats with some of the layered leaderships. I do mute them if they need me. They will message me privately and tell me, hey, can you answer this? And I go back and answer, and then I keep going. Once I feel like a new distributor and that leader have a really good relationship, then I kind of slowly start kind of backing out a little bit so that I can kind of redirect my attention somewhere else that needs it. But it's pretty much like just making sure that I empower that new distributor that has that new distributor below them and letting them know like I'm here. And even for a new distributor that signs up with me, I tell them that I have all these systems in place and that I've been doing this and that I've been helping like new distributors get started for a long time now. So I'm going to do the same for them. So that way they know that when their time comes and they have someone who's interested in the business, they don't have to worry about like having to train them by themselves. Like I'm going to be there for them too. And then I also, because I like to color coordinate stuff, and iPhone has a bunch of cute little circles and stuff that are different colors, I do have certain distributors with certain colors that are my priority. And I know they require a little bit more of my attention in those layered leadership chats. So I know I have to check them. They like pop up in my messages and I'm like, okay, I need to look at this red message because of X, Y, and Z. So that's kind of like a little what I do with the new distributor training guide and how I kind of hand them off to like the co-sponsor.
So you said that you'll like eventually like mute the chats and stuff. Now, was that after like your 10-day check-in and stuff? It's not like day 2, day 3. It's like after you've built that relationship, you've worked with them, they've built a relationship with their co-sponsor, and now you're like, okay, they're good working together.
I try to stick around until they get their 6 loyal customers, if not even until they're getting their new distributors. I try to stay there as they're accomplishing their first steps in each thing. So first customers reaching that goal, first distributors reaching that goal, and we label the chat their goal. So if it's a girl named Rachel, okay, Rachel gets her 6 loyal customers. That's the name of the chat. So when they're in with their co-sponsor, the co-sponsor and myself all know so-and-so is trying to get their loyal customers. Once they get that, okay, we rename the chat. Rachel goes executive. she gets that, Rachel goes Ruby, like it, and everybody's on the same page, and nobody's kind of like, okay, like what goals are you on? Like, what are we working on? And stuff like that. Like everybody knows exactly where this person is headed, and it gets them excited because they're like, oh my gosh, like I can go executive, and it's like, yeah, you can, like, let's do this. So it's kind of like it creates the guidance of like, this is what you're going to be working towards. This is your promotion.
That's so good. Do you have anything you want to add, Cheyenne? I'm reading through the chat to see if there's any questions.
Oh, that was so good. I love that. I do agree with what she said about the new leaders, though, like newbies training newbies type of thing, because I definitely am like on top of those ones too. I'm like, hey, like you're her co-sponsor, but like I'm gonna be here because like I don't just want to
yeah. Well, you don't want them to be like, oh my God, what? You're like leaving me with this person. Okay, hold on. There was one question here, and I know that like this is something we've all kind of done. Oh my God, I just lost it. Okay. Someone asked, do you follow up periodically with distributors who have stopped working? If so, what do you say? Do you ask them if they would want to like restart up, or tell them about incentives that are going on to get them working again? So I know that we've all done like distributor revival before, you know? So yeah, did one of you guys want to just jump in and talk about that real quick?
Saray, do you have a system for that? Okay.
So I have, when it's a new distributor that starts up, and they kind of fall off the face of the earth with the training. I have an example here, like I'll do a voice message if the last conversation wasn't a voice message. And then if they don't reach back, I'll wait like 2 days and I'll send them another message, and then I'll wait another 2 days. So I do wait 2 days, 2 days. I was doing 3, but I kind of shortened it. And then after, if they're still ignoring me, I do put like a bunch of sad faces with the big eyes. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, girl, like, I'm so sorry if I did something. Like I try to apologize for something, or like if they were scared, nervous, whatever, like anything, like I'll just say like, I hope you're okay. I hope there wasn't anything wrong. If there is a why that I already know, like I'll even throw in like, how is so-and-so? Is like your family okay? And then I get really good responses from that. And then it kind of revives. And then I kind of find out, okay, so like, why did you stop? Like what's up with the communication? And then that kind of tells me where I need to go in that direction. And then, sorry, my son just came in. And then if it's someone who has literally like, and in this case, someone who kind of stopped after a while, then I will send them another message and say like, hey, I know like probably a couple weeks ago it wasn't good timing, but we have a really good incentive like right now with the bonuses. Are you still interested? Like I can help you get to where you would want to be, or that why. I kind of bring that back up, and that way to try to like revive them in that sense. But for me, I just leave the door open. There's a good podcast by Ashley Mayfield that a friend of mine shared with us that says about not burning bridges and how to stop someone from quitting. And I kind of read the situation, their color, personality gives me an idea as to why they're quitting in the first place. So I try to just leave the door open, because I've had distributors come back and it's a different time in their life and they want to do the business then. And I'm okay with that. I don't force them. I just let them know that I'm here, and that if they're still looking for an income, like I'm still going to help them.
Yeah, I love that. And the only thing that I could not necessarily add, but just like talk about too, I guess, is I also have been doing that from what Ashley Mayfield was talking about. Like whenever someone's messaging me like that, and they're like, I don't know if this is for me. I'm like, hey, like, can you hop on a FaceTime? And then we'll FaceTime. And I literally just talk about what Ashley says in this podcast. Like it was seriously so genius. And honestly, like before that, I'm just like, okay, bye.
Which podcast is this?
It's called like Burning Bridges. I can look it up.
Is it Ashley Mayfield's does she have a podcast?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, I missed that whole thing. It's fine.
Yeah, it is. What is it?
Is she on iTunes podcasts?
Yeah, I think it's called Fireball.
Yes, that's what it is. It's called Fireball. The one that I think we're probably talking about the same podcast, because it's called How to Stop Somebody from Quitting, right? Or are you
Yeah,
talking
I'm like, I can't find the name, but it's like very like
I'll
you
find it.
read the name of it and you're like, oh, that's the one it is. Yeah, it's episode number 9. It's how to stop someone from quitting. And it literally is just like she takes you through this exact system of how she keeps someone from quitting. And I've been doing that with my people because like honestly, that's something I always really struggle with because I'm like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like, do I try to bet, like, am I gonna like try to convince you to stay? I don't know.
Yeah, because like that's where I've always had, honestly, like I've always had an issue with that because I'm just like, you know, like I'll work with someone else, like whatever. But I started doing the FaceTime thing where I just really get to like talk to them and everything, and that has honestly helped so much. And just like Saray said, like don't burn bridges, you guys. Like, oh my Lanta, like that should be like, don't do it. Because I mean, even the other day I had a girl come back and she was like, it was like a really bad time in my life. And I was like, you're okay. Like, what's your phone number? And I literally got her phone number and FaceTimed her. And we talked about the stuff that was going on in her life. She cried, I cried, and I don't cry. And we just kind of had a moment together. And then like now she's like rocking and rolling again. Cause like, it's all about community and just like becoming friends with people. Like we all have life happen, you guys. Just like be a human.
Yeah. And you know, that's so true too. Like, so Jade and I were just like having a conversation, and, you know, she was telling me that like I needed to be more open about like the things that I have been through this year and all like the deaths that my family has had, and like talking about it. And she's like, you know, talk about how like you were able to get through it. And had it been 5 years ago when I first started and all this stuff happened, I would have just quit and been like, nah, I'm done. Like, I can't do this right now. My life is in shambles. But because of all the personal development and self-growth that I've done over the last 5 years, like that's what got me through it. And is like, okay, like I'm not going to just walk away from this. Yes, I need to take some time to like regroup, but I'm strong and I can overcome this. And people who have not been in a business like this or don't do self-development and personal development, and that's another reason why we stress that so much to you guys, about doing personal development, is because like it 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 makes you strong. Like it makes you stronger on the inside. It makes your heart stronger. It makes your mind stronger. And it's just good for the soul. um so Saray, do you mind also like dropping your little graphic things that you were talking about in the chat thing? And does anyone have any last words? This was like so good. I have like 5 pages of notes, and then I'm gonna have to like rewatch this because I like couldn't write everything down fast enough that you guys were talking about. If you guys got some like so much good stuff out of this, drop a 1 in the chat, because I'm just like know what I'm doing. I'm like ready to go, ready to start like just enrolling all the people on TikTok and then
Go
training
back to
them
all my
with
distributors and change their contact names now.
yeah, right, training them with
Do it
these super green tips that we got tonight. Do any of you guys, do you have any last words that you want to end with before we hop off of here?
Just honestly, you guys, if whenever you're training a new distributor, make it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. I don't know if Saray can say this too, but I've done so many trainings where I have done like thousands of information and like all of the things, and I was like, Shay, why aren't they working? And she was like, sister, absolutely not, like no. And I was like, oh, and like it's honestly because I'm green. But just keep it simple, you guys. Like there are what 5 to 7 things we do every single day, depending on how you like organize that. That's all they need to know at first. And like Saray said, add it on over time. Like they do not need to know every single detail the moment they join. Add it on as they go. Like they will learn and they will catch on. But if you throw everything at them, no.
Unless they're super green like us.
Yeah,
Then
literally.
they want to know everything.
Yeah, if they're
I
super
was like
green, throw
day 2
everything at
reading the comp plan. I'm like, what does this mean? I probably read the comp plan like 100 times at least. I'm like, what does all of this mean? How are we making money? So anyways, this is so good, you guys. I'm so excited. So just so you guys know, next week